You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino martial arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. In this episode, I connect to Tulsa, Oklahoma on Zoom, and I talk to martial arts instructor Brandon Bennett. We talk about how he got involved in martial arts, how we are doing better than we deserve, the circumstances of how he came to open a school, the goal of creating instructors, and how martial arts has impacted his life. Sit back and enjoy.
There we go.
Aha! Now you
How are
sound
you, sir?
lovely. Great. How are you doing?
I'm better than I deserve.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I would hope that you deserve to be well.
Oh, well, we can discuss that. We can start with that philosophical discussion if you'd like.
Hey, that's not bad.
So what I guess it would go with, well, what do I deserve?
Right.
It begins with, so what do we deserve at birth?
Hopefully to breathe, I guess, right?
Okay, so
First,
breathe.
first natural instinct.
I was granted that, but not everybody was.
Right.
So why were they not granted it? Was it because they didn't deserve it?
Well, I guess, that gets into the philosophical, or I guess, like a faith question, I guess, if you think something larger is operating something that is of a consciousness that is deciding, that is like a judge, I guess at that point. I find it interesting that if you believe in only one life, that something that's just approaching it would not deserve to have it. Now, if you believe in reincarnation, perhaps you did something in the last one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so let's make the assumption that we all deserve the same thing because there's nothing that before this life.
Right.
Okay. So if let's say that life is zero sum. So just basic life is zero sum. I mean, it's neutral.
I think there's good evidence to that, right? Because you're born
Okay.
alone, you die alone, and you
Right,
can't take
okay.
anything
So-
with you, and you're not bringing anything with you to begin with. So, yeah.
So life is zero sum. So I was born to parents that loved me. So
That's beautiful.
Already I'm doing better than, say, maybe,
A lot.
Yeah. Let's say 25% of the population.
Right.
I'm born in an area that has a wealth of good water. Again, and so then we go like, well, those people didn't deserve bad water, but I didn't necessarily deserve good water,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
And then I was born in a time and era of the United States where I'm able to do this with you. I'm able to talk with Guru Inosanto.
Yeah.
I'm able to do all the things that I have a wife that loves me. I have, I'm fairly healthy, so all these things. So I consider it better than I deserve. I also think that it's a better, it's the opposite of entitlement.
Yeah.
Gratefulness
Okay.
is the opposite of entitlement. So I should just be grateful for everything. So if I say that I'm better than I deserve, it reminds me of my gratefulness.
Right, right.
of everything that occurs to me, and the good things and the bad.
That's good. Well, I got two things here. One, I like where it puts the mind to begin with. Two, I can tell that you and Harley Elmore are close.
We are.
Because you guys are coming right out of the, it's I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like a conversation I had with Harley Elmore on his podcast.
We have sat and had a number of philosophical discussions.
My God. This is why I enjoy my time I have talking with you guys and being around you guys for that, and the like-minded people I have like that. You can kind of skip through all the weird details that a lot of these things take and kind of go right to the heart of a matter, which is, what's kind of going on inside of us realistically. And, you guys are very good about really, I think, learning how to set that dial to a switch that will allow you to deal with the outside.
Yeah,
I like that. That's great.
Definitely our internal aspects frame the external world, right?
Right.
Like depending upon your attitude, you've heard of. I'm trying to think of the name of the bias in particular right now, but like confirmation bias is what I'm looking for. So if you start like, how do I make this the best podcast ever? If I start
which is how I start all the time for me.
Exactly. So and so each one just piles on top of the next one. So if I start with that question, I start looking for the ways to make it the best. I'll start looking for ways to confirm it. If you look for a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, you'll be surprised about the number of Volkswagen Beetles you find. If you look for awesome friends, you'll be surprised at the number of awesome friends you find.
Right. And if you combine the last two, the best part is you find so many reasons to give those awesome friends a slug bug because you found that many.
Exactly. And if it's yellow, you give them two. If it's yellow, they get two.
I didn't know that rule. I'm going to.
Banana bug. Banana bug. Bang.
Okay. Nice. All right. I'm keeping that one, and I'm not even going to tell anybody before I give them two for it.
Right. You have to call it as a banana bug, though.
Yeah, exactly. Banana bug.
Not just yellow slug bug. Banana bug. Bang.
Love it. Because it alliterates very nice.
Right.
It's funny you say that because it's like I jump on these podcasts with that in mind that this is going to be the greatest one ever, and they all are the greatest one ever. And I always, when I'm done, I just go, God, I love the fact that I'm doing this thing.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be doing something we love.
Yeah, for sure.
Last night we celebrated 15 years open as Relentless.
Damn! Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So it was it was awesome. I mean, we're sitting around, and I guess I stood up and said, I guess I'm supposed to say some words. We're having an event, and we went back to I'm sitting in my kitchen. Behind me is my garage through this wall. And I was in the garage with a number of guys that were Terry Gibson students and Darian Whitaker's and Eric Jensen's students. And because Eric Jensen was facing some health problems at the time, he was forced to close his school. He became healthier now. Right now he's going through a bout of something totally different. So keep Eric Jensen in your prayers. And if you're listening to this, Eric, I'm always thinking about you. So
that's right. And if you feel up to it, Eric, we should get you on here.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Eric Jensen has a long history in these arts, including if now I'm going to just say what I've always been told, one of the first 5 guys outside of LA to be certified in Mafalendo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I understand it was the Tucci's, Rick and Amy, and Terry Gibson, Kathy Gibson, and Eric Jensen.
Wow. Okay.
And there was a written test then, and they said it was incredibly difficult.
You know what? I think that's a good thing. It's kind of sad that some of those things have gone away. And it's funny because I try to turn the kids class into nerds like me. So I quiz them and I give them homework. And in fact, their homework that tomorrow they need to tell me is who founded Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So they had to go do some homework. And I asked them, I said, how do you research? And they're all telling me Chat GPT and all the modern stuff. And I said, yeah, that's all great. You will probably find the answer. However, there are a couple of people here that that you could just simply go ask. And I said, who is it? And they're like, well, Sifu Dan. I said, yes. And that's my hidden agenda, is to try to get these kids to interact with him. So in 20 years, when they realize exactly who he is or was, that they can go, oh my God, I remember him more than just a guy standing there giving me some directions. They had a personal interaction. And then they're like, well, maybe Professor Gary. I'm like, yeah, I was considering he's a 4th degree black belt in it. He probably knows who founded it. Yeah. And then they said, you? I said, yeah, I don't have any really rank, but I could tell you. But they haven't asked me, and that's fine. I'd rather have them go ask the other two, to be honest with you.
Exactly. For a long time in Warriors Way, we had stated that our goals specifically were to create as many first-generation instructors or actually capable candidates for instructorship under Guru Dan Inosanto as possible.
That's great.
The reason for that is just for that reason, so that they would be able to tell the stories and say when maybe other information's coming out, that they were able to give the information correctly as they heard it from the horse's mouth and talk about the character of the man himself. I mean, I won't argue any kind of facts about stuff where I wasn't there.
I hear you. It's kind of pointless. I mean, because you can say, well, I heard, and then the other can say, well, I heard. And, if we're a third person listening to the outside on a topic we know nothing about, we go, yeah, there's two hens cackling about something, right?
Right. But if they talk about Guru and his person, I'm like, no, I'm an expert on that.
Right. Yeah.
I know what kind of person he is. I'm not as close to him as some, but I know what kind of person he is, and I can talk about that.
Well, yeah, you've been around enough, and you've been around enough time around him that should he actually be different than what he appears, it would have slipped somewhere. And there's just way too many people, way too many witnesses over too long that all say the same thing. And, I've had the wonderful benefit of being around him 6 days a week, 7 days some weeks. And quite frankly, that character doesn't break. So in my opinion, after 20 years of being like that, this guy is what you see is what you get.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm definitely one of my superheroes. He's, he's close to, I mean, I know he's human. I know he's
right.
Horrible.
Of course.
He'd be upset maybe if he heard me say this, but he's almost like a living saint, I mean, I know he has problems. I know, but man.
Well, we all do, right? That's the nature of being human.
Like there have been times I looked at him like, hey girl, I'm going to whip that guy for you. Let's go. Let's go. I'll be your complaint department, girl. He's like, nope, stop that. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's funny, he brought up a conversation to me last week, this last week. We're you and I are talking on a Friday, so during this last week, early in the week, I think I'd taken something upstairs to him in his office, and we sat and chatted for a second, and he just said something to the effect of something like, Paul is more grounded than me. And he kind of went on. I said, Guru, what exactly do you mean by that? I said, grounded, it could take a lot of forms. And he's like, well, I get, upset, if people are left out or something, what he said, where she kind of handles this a little better. I said, well, Guru, what you're saying is empathy. I said, Paula has a lot of empathy. Obviously, she's done a lot of great things. I said, but you have more empathy than the average person, by sure. And you have more empathy than the average, what we call a good person too. And I said, that's not a weakness. There's nothing wrong with that. No. I said, that's why I relate to you. I said, I think I've got more empathy as well. And it makes you upset when you see people hurt or left out or whatever. So I said, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with, the other person having, an average amount of that, where I think you have more than that.
I think the one of the reasons that Guru and Sima Paula are such a great pair is because Guru would give and give and give really until he had nothing left to give. And Simo Paula really is kind of his protector. And she goes, yeah, no, that's enough. That's enough for right now. I mean, let's recharge, let's refuel, but that's enough for right now. And so I'm incredibly thankful to her, really, for taking care of him over all the years. You know what I mean? It's been, and when times were hard, she definitely took care of him and helped create the academy. It couldn't be done without her,
Absolutely.
And what it is.
You know what? I haven't introduced you yet.
That's fun.
Like, who the hell is this you're talking to? I mean, obviously, I hope that they read the thing. But anyway, let me do that real quick. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast. And this guest and I just kind of started right off with a great conversation that I don't want to cut off. So I just kind of, let it go. This is a man in demand who was actually just on Dwight Woods' podcast too, after I saw him at Instructor Conference. So please welcome Brandon Bennett to the show.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and it's funny that you say that because and that type of thing, because there was a recent little thing that sort of went around on social media and about, I don't even know if I want to dive into it, but basically it was just talking about Guru's relationship to someone else that's kind of a big name and whatever. And so there was the argument going back. Let's compare it to the Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris thing. Did Chuck Norris teach Bruce Lee kicking, this particular kicking? No, hell no. Of course, Bruce Lee already knew this and blah, 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 blah. And so, one of my answers is, can two high-level people be able to get together, be friendly, and train together without someone having to be someone's teacher? Why is that a thing, and why is it more of a thing to us on the outside than it is to the people on the inside of it?
Right, and like an exchange information, like
right.
In what we're doing right now. Who's the teacher and who's the student? You know what I mean? It's a conversation. It's a dialogue. Right. Dialogue means two parts, so it's back and forth. So it doesn't have to be. Whoa! I just lost you, Tim.
Oh, no worries. I'm still talking. What happened is my headphones cut off, so I'm just going back into settings.
Okay, that's all right.
You're still fine. I probably just physically disappeared, but I'm still here.
All right, good deal. It panicked me there for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
You can tell my mom, whoa.
Yeah, I'm about to reappear. What happened is I took one of the earphones, and of course, it turned it off. And I'm like, come on, let's get wiser. All right, there I am. You should be able to see me again now. There you are. But I appreciate you looking out for me. Like, oh my God, what happened to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, we gotta stop the podcast. We gotta restart.
No, we're all good.
Well,
I should have warned you.
It's a dialogue, So at times there's not a student teacher relationship. At times there is just a relationship. I think I'm going to use a biblical analogy that not everybody may get, but we all need a Paul, we all need a Timothy, we all need a Silas. Meaning, like, everybody needs a peer, everybody needs a student, and so if you have those three things, and also someone to look up to, a mentor, peer, and student, it creates a triangle where you get all the good things. But if you if you just have peers, sometimes you don't quite have the leadership you need. If you just have students, sometimes it's harder. It's harder to do that. Although you can, sometimes you can access the thoughts of your mentors, those that came before you, just with your memories of them, and that can be important. But
yeah, that's like hearing your parents in your head every time you do something.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. All the time. Or hearing Grandmaster Chai or Mr. Gibson or Inosanto or Harley Elmore telling me keep my hands up. Because all four of them, I think, have one time to tell me to keep my hands up.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I've been bopped in the head in sparring, and all I can hear is Ajahn Chai going, "You see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, sir."
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and to kind of add to the other thing you were talking about. So, I said there's that situation involved in the whole discussion. I said, and the other is, yes, there are. I said that because they're kind of say, well, what does Guru Dan think about this? I said, well, there's the public way he's going to think, which is not going to really be one way or the other. And then there's the private thought that he may have on it, which is that it's his private thought on it. And we know that people will potentially try to associate themselves in ways that will promote themselves, which I'm throwing my thing all over the place. And therefore, you know, that's why there is a Paula there. That's why, you know, they ask me to be around. And I, like I said, I have no problem being the bad cop for those types of things. That way he doesn't have to suffer it. And honestly, he suffers either way with it. You know,
Right.
if we have to shut someone off, he feels bad about it. If he's being used up, I'm assuming he doesn't feel that great about it either, because he is a human being. So,
Right.
yeah, that's why I get mad about those situations. I'm like, I don't like the fact that y'all put him in that situation to begin with, because he's not going to like the outcome either way.
And he almost, you know, Guru almost can't say no. I mean, he almost does. I mean, does need someone to help. I mean, not. He's very polite.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that he won't say no. I'm not saying he never says no. I'm just saying that if, like, for instance, I've hosted him, I've had to say no for him when I'm thinking, I don't know if this is something that Simo Paulo would want us to talk about right now, or you know, or hey, leave him alone in the bathroom. You know that.
There's that one. Oh my God.
Like I stand guard at the door. You know, so everybody deserves their own privacy and their own and their own time. But
a few minutes just to
just to be themselves, just to wash their hands and go to the bathroom and solace.
Exactly. And it's an interesting thing, because I think we don't think of him as celebrity in the way that we think of celebrities per se, but it's the same effect. And I've seen that 20 years of editing television, a lot of like entertainment stuff or e-entertainment, the news and things for them, and kind of seeing how people are around celebrity. And it's like, there's a weird psychology to someone that you know a lot about. They don't know you, but you know a lot about them. You see them a lot because you're reading in magazines, you're watching videos or whatever. So they are a constant presence in your life, but not physically there. So there's a weird sort of intimacy and ownership some people seem to take with celebrity, like, no, you owe me this time. And whether it's subconscious or not, you know, that's why you got people following him into the bathroom trying to ask him questions, you know, and that's, you know, celebrities in general face a lot of that.
You know, I think that probably Guru was the first time I was starstruck. I mean,
me too.
When I first met him.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Like the Beatles. I kind of felt like those girls in the Beatles, you know, when they got off the airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
That was going on inside my head.
You know, and you know, and Mr. Gibson was just telling me to calm down. You know, but you know, I've only one other time I think I was starstruck. I got on the plane with Ray Charles.
Oh wow!
And he felt bad, and I just walked past him in first class and didn't say anything. But it was probably only with the help of my beautiful wife, because I'm like, that is Ray Charles. And they're like, and so I just kept walking. But you know, from presidents to
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/MALMAG and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Brandon Bennett. Coming up next week, I connect to the United Kingdom again, and I talk with martial artist Carl Jackson. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks, for FMA and Krabiker Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available. We also have sarongs, malongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the Events Calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.